Alright, y'all. Yeah, another history reaction video for your mind, right? Today we are diving back into predictive history channel, okay, for some game theory, the law of escalation. Yes, and we're talking about actually escalation with regard to conflicts and war and taking things up. You know what I'm saying? To the upper room. You know what I mean? When it comes to just beef, conflicts, we are covering the WW3, okay, World War that's going on currently in 2026, and I'm only saying 2026 because I'm only covering it right now, and that's present day, right? So, but it will be of historical significance. You know what I mean? So, I gotta get to it, gotta cover it sometime, somehow. You know what I mean? And yeah, we are joining Professor Jiang's class, his lecture. He's actually breaking down the importance of control escalation over dominance escalation. I don't know what any of that is about, but I like this angle because it may reveal to us something to learn that's beyond more than just like killing one another. You know what I'm saying? Like all in the name of war and just like bombing one another and how many casualties, how did we win this one? It's like, bro, the aspect of escalation. Let's see what, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what we can take from that point of things, right? Let's see.
Senator got it done to my home is this cast. I had to argue with niggas, you pay no man. Heard me pack on you boys, I ain't telling no lie. Yeah, lie. Tell me once, can't never fool me again. Don't hate the messenger, man, hate the same. When one thing about facts is when they hit you, feel no pain.
Damn, I hope y'all could see that though. I hope y'all could see that, cause like I think I had it way higher. The whole zooming in thing into the whole title thing, you know. I think I had it higher than usual. You know, it might be chopped off by the screen, yo. But part 2 it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, back at it again. Again, saying it again. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful seeing you. And yeah. We are breaking down the law of escalation as per the US and Iran war going on. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So far, we have, you know, Professor Jiang over here has expressed the ladder of escalation. Go check out the part 1. You know what I'm saying? As to how we got to, well, the notes that he got on his board. You know what I'm saying? Shall we commence with the lesson, Professor?
Right? If you attack me, I attack you with drones.
Yep.
But if you don't attack me, then I don't attack you. Okay?
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
So, in other words, okay, this is a really important idea. The US and Iran have different military decision trees.
Break that down.
Okay? Alright?
Decision trees.
So let me explain how. Because the United States and Israel, they're just attacking Iran. Okay? And they attack with air power, so that's very blunt. Right? Okay? So you go from one step to the next, to the next, to the next. Okay? This is the classic escalation ladder. Iran is not like this. Their decision tree is different. Okay?
Yeah.
Because their strategy.
Wait, let me guess. They kind of like just wait for you to make your move. You know what I'm saying? And then wait for you to just like, I don't know. They kind of like trap you. They wait for you to be in a position where they can entrap you into some sort of position, and then not to kill you, not to destroy you. You know what I'm saying? But to just like squeeze you into submission. You know what I'm saying? Maybe extort you. You know what I'm saying? For like some shit, like extort you, like get a few things from your leader. You know what I'm saying? Since y'all are the troops that like pulled up to wanna, you know, strong arm us. You know what I'm saying? And you know, y'all got these weapons that they sent you to come and destroy our infrastructure with, right? Nah, come over here. This is where we want you. And then boom, before you know it, boom. You know what I'm saying? in their possession, and now they're out here extorting your leader, you know, for some ransom or whatever the case. You feel me? I don't know. That was just my guess. That was my speculation on some game theory. Oh, right?
Is to force the United States to admit defeat and retreat from
force them to admit defeat and retreat.
the GCC. Okay? To close down the military bases in the Middle East so that Iran has control over the Strait of Hormuz and therefore it can control all world trade.
Yeah.
Alright? So that's the strategy. So this strategy means that you have different options. Alright? Your options are attack Israel, military targets, civilian targets, Tel Aviv, okay? All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but as you can see, if you think about it, Iran can be much more selective in its targeting than the United States and Israel.
It's got more options?
And therefore, the options that it has...
Ooh, there we go. It has more options. Yeah.
It is much more diverse.
Nice.
Which gives Iran escalation control over the situation. Okay? Do you guys understand this?
A little bit.
So let's look at why Iran has advantages over the escalation ladder. Okay?
Let's do it.
U.S., Iran. The first major difference is that Iran is active. Whereas the U.S. is passive. Okay? Another thing this is, go back to the bully example where the bully has to maintain credibility. He has to show that he's more powerful than the other.
Asymmetry, the law of asymmetry. Please say something about that.
Than the other kids, right? So if you provoke him, he has no choice in the matter but to hit you. Okay?
Oh, okay.
But you, the new kid, can choose whether or not to provoke him or not. You can choose the timing of when to provoke him. Therefore, you are active. Okay? The second big difference is that Iran has a clear strategy. It knows what it wants to accomplish, and it knows how to accomplish what it wants. Remember, what Iran wants is control the Strait of Hormuz and the United States out of the Middle East.
Yeah.
That's what it wants to do. And it's calibrating its attacks in a certain way to achieve
and disable them and separate them from their alliance with the GCC.
This end goal. And it's working out very well for Iran, okay?
Oh.
The United States, on the other hand, doesn't know what it wants. It wants to destroy Iran. But what does that mean, okay? Destroy.
Yeah, okay, what does that mean?
It could mean regime change. It could mean economy collapses. It could mean the civilian population starves, okay? It can mean anything. But because there's so much ambiguity, so much confusion about what it means, it confuses.
Hey, they just doing whatever right now. They just pulling whatever cards out. Trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying? That's what it looks like.
Military strategy. Right? And the last thing is, of course, is that Iran is flexible and the United States is inflexible.
Okay.
Okay? So by studying the escalation ladder, we discover that Iran has far more advantages than the United States. Okay? All right. So what does this mean?
What does it mean?
All right. It means that Iran will probably win this war ultimately.
Oh, boom.
But
and y'all know it's expected that the United States would take it. Well, as I told y'all, right? As I told y'all, people are out here chopping it up and talking about this war. You know what I'm saying? In their, within their environments, wherever they're at, wherever you are in the world, bruh, like people are talking about this war. You know what I'm saying? Because people are that aware of it. Like it's that much of a global phenomenon, right? And it affects the rest of the world, in that regard. So like, I'm talking with my colleagues, you know what I'm saying, and the ignorance that we have. Like we still do have, okay, let me say, a whole bunch of people out here in South Africa specifically, you know, still have this image that, yeah, you know, the U.S. is the big bad, you know, bullies. You know what I'm saying? Well, depending on who you are and your relationship with the U.S. country-wise, it's like they could be the big bad bullies, or they could be like the leaders of, you know, things, the global economy. Well, they are the leaders of the global economy, whether we mess with them or not, right? So we still have that image that, yo, they got the, you know, best resources, more advanced technology, you know what I'm saying, to go crazy on the Iranians, and, you know, so therefore they might just like take this war. So that's, you know, that was the expectation, and whatever decision that the US would have, and whatever kind of superiority sort of POV or imagery, you know what I'm saying, optic, it would have over Iran, then that's what would be applied. That's what would go. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, bro, like, past couple of days, even yesterday, today, niggas said something about it, like, you know, people be talking about it, though. So that, I'm just saying, that's the expectation. But according to Professor Jang, Iran's about to win this. Okay, let's hear it.
There has to be major changes to a society in order to win this war. All right. So remember, to win a fight, you have to have three things: focus, clarity, and resolve.
Right. Focus.
All right.
Yeah.
You have to know what your purpose is. You have to know how to achieve it, and you have to be determined to achieve it. Okay.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So what does this mean for the Middle East? What does it mean for Iran? First thing is, focus means unity, meaning that you have to unite your population, which means basically crushing all dissent. We can't argue anymore. We have to unify for.
Yeah, you have to throw me my ones. You literally owe me my ones at this point. Like, we gotta get physical. We have to.
A purpose, okay? The second thing, clarity.
No, I'm just joking, bro. I don't know why I thought that, bro. Hold on. Let me not disturb him.
First thing is, focus means unity, meaning that you have to unite your population, which means basically crushing all dissent. We can't argue anymore. We have to unify for a purpose, okay? The second thing, clarity, is to censor people. Censorship. And we're already seeing that in Israel, where you're not allowed to film military strikes, okay? If a drone comes and attacks Tel Aviv in Israel, you cannot film that and put on social media.
If you do?
Okay? The government will come and arrest you. Same thing in Dubai. You cannot show Dubai being attacked, okay? So massive censorship going on. And resolve.
And you know what's crazy? It's happening. Like, there's footage of, you know, things going crazy, right? Things being destroyed. Facts. Y'all see it. Y'all saw it.
Just means militarization, where the Middle East moves towards total war. Total war just means that every citizen now is recruited into the war effort. It just means that the entire economy is geared towards war.
Whether you like it or not.
Okay? And one last point I'll make is this. What we need to understand about the escalation ladder is that as it moves up, we have to remember that this war is being fought multidimensionally. Okay? What does that mean? It means that the military is just one dimension, but there are four major dimensions. There are others, but let's focus on four major dimensions, okay? The first major dimension is narrative. Narrative is just basically world opinion. Second is political. Political just means the relationship of nations to each other. The relationship of the government to the people, okay? Political. The third dimension is economic. And the fourth is military. And what's really important to understand is that the military dimension is probably the least important. There are other dimensions that are much more important. Therefore, these 4 factors determine how the United States and Iran move up the escalation ladder. Okay? Because your purpose is to control the narrative and justify why you're doing what you're doing. Political means you still have to maintain good relations with other states, right? So as the United States is fighting this war against Iran, the United States is still talking to China. The United States is still talking to Russia.
Yeah, for real.
So that discussion, that political discussion, determines the contours of this fight. Economic means that as this fight is still happening, nations are still trading with each other. And that factors into how the military is fought. Okay? Does that make sense? So I know this is very complicated, but you need to understand how
it's complex as fuck. It's very complex, but
complicated war is. It's not as simple as saying, you know what, let's nuke that guy. It doesn't work that way. Okay? There are a lot of constraints. There's a lot of factors, a lot of stakeholders involved to constrain the use of nukes. Okay? All right, so let's now discuss ground troops. All right, the first question we look at is, will ground troops be used? And the answer, unfortunately, is yes, they have to be used. And it has to do with how the military used. And it has to do with how the military works, okay? Of how wars are fought. Basically, when you fight a war, you have to have a correct cost pyramid, okay? And the most simple cost pyramid, okay, is this. Infantry, soldiers, okay? All right, they're at the bottom. Why? Because they're the cheapest. What's above them? Armor. Okay, artillery, tanks.
Their weaponry.
They're more expensive to produce. You need more resources. You need more time. Then you have naval, right? Then you have air. Okay, does that make sense? This is the cost pyramid.
Right.
And cost pyramid is this question of like, how much energy, how much time, how much resources do you need to produce a certain product, okay? It costs you very little to produce a soldier, but it costs you a lot to produce an airplane. And this is important because wars are usually, you need to produce a certain product, okay? It costs you very little to produce a soldier, but it costs you...
In that way, he talks very fast. So it costs very little to produce a soldier than it is to produce an aircraft.
A lot to produce an airplane. This is important because wars are usually wars of attrition.
Oh, what does this say though? Oh my god. This is deep, bro. If you understand like the implication, like, because like think about it, right? It costs way less to produce a soldier. So what's the value of the soldier? The soldier is actually a human life, bro. Damn. So the human life is less than the life of something that's material. Well, the production of something material, right? Well, as per money, when we have to, like, no matter how we spend it, bro, it's crazy. Okay, I get the context. Yeah, it's context. Yo, we talking about war, You know what I'm saying? We talking about people who are willing to go to war, like, you know what I'm saying? Human beings, number one, like, that's the last thing we want to throw in the line of battle for them to, like, reach death potentially. You know what I'm saying? It's it's easier or morally speaking, it's better that we throw things at you, throw bullets at you, throw, you know what I'm saying, artillery, weapons. You get what I mean? Instead of living souls, living, breathing life. You know what I mean? I get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, man. That sounds crazy, bro. It's cheaper it's like the human is cheaper than the thing.
Meaning that you have to put all your resources into winning the war, okay?
Yeah. No,
so
I get it.
This is just production capacity.
Production capacity. Cool.
And this is the most standard model that you have of a cost pyramid for a military war. Okay, does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
The The problem is that the United States have an inverse pyramid.
Huh.
Okay?
What do you mean?
Meaning that air is what's dominant, then naval, then armor, then soldiers.
Soldiers, okay.
You can't fight a war like this.
So wait, for the US, it costs more to produce the soldier. Oh, than the aircraft.
I mean, the moment you choose to fight a war like this, you've lost the war.
For real?
Because
How?
you either take out the country in like 2 days, or you scoot over, but you cannot replenish your forces. Now, I know this is hard to understand, but 1991, the Persian Gulf War, 2003, the Iraq War,
Yeah.
these are not real wars, okay? Because the Americans were so dominant and Iraq was so weak that it was basically a video game. All right, this is
it was a walk
these
in the
pilots
park.
flying around, is bombing everything. Okay,
So it was a
it's like
walk
guys
in
in
the
tanks
park.
just running over the Iraqi army.
Yeah.
Those were just video games. But this Iran thing is a real war, and therefore you cannot fight a war like this. If you want to win this war, the only thing you can do is return to a realistic cost pyramid. You don't have a choice in the matter,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
okay.
Because again, your cheapest product are soldiers, right?
Or it's supposed to be soldiers.
And your most expensive are airplanes. You cannot afford to use an airplane in order to save a life of a soldier. Eventually, this cost-benefit analysis will blow up on you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense, guys?
I see.
All right, so if the United States wants to win this war, then it has no choice but to use ground troops, to use soldiers as the main force of its military.
Yeah.
Any questions so far? All right. Okay. Now the question then is, will the United States use ground troops? I already said that if the United States is to win this war, it has no choice but to use ground troops. But will the United States use ground troops? And a lot is determined by the game theory strategies of the different players, okay? So let's look at the 4 major players in this war.
Who's that?
You have US, you have Israel, you have Saudi Arabia, and you have Iran. Okay? All right?
Okay.
So, the United States and Iran, they're pretty easy to understand. What the United States wants to do is destroy Iran. Okay? Why? Because if we were to destroy Iran, the United States would have complete control over Middle East oil. And it would control global trade for the Strait of Hormuz.
Ah, okay. That's the outcome for the W of the US, you know, if they take the W. Yo, that is power though. Okay. Controlling the Strait of Hormuz.
And therefore, the United States can maintain its empire, okay? So a really simple objective. Let's destroy Iran. We don't care how, we don't care why, let's just go do it, okay?
Okay.
Iran has another strategy, which is control Strait of Hormuz and
Restricted.
destroy CENTCOM. CENTCOM is basically
What is that?
the American military in the Middle East, called Central Command, okay? So those are 2 major military objectives of Iran. And we can understand why. Because if CENTCOM is destroyed, Iran has complete control over the Middle East.
Yeah.
Now, Dubai, now Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait have to pay taxes to Iran.
To Iran.
Now Iran, the new kid, is now the bully of the Middle East, right? Now it's a hegemon. That is the political objective of this war. Okay?
No, I ain't gonna lie, that bully analogy was the best. You feel me? Because of that bully analogy, I get it. Yeah, they are now that's Iran's W, right? Then becoming the new bully that like is the new guy who everybody is on, you know, his meat. Everybody's is praising him and all that, right? He becomes the new king type shit.
Israel is a bit more complicated.
Okay,
All
break
right?
it down.
For Israel, sorry. One other thing is humble Israel.
Humble Israel. That's another objective of Iran.
That's the other thing, because even if you defeat the United States, you still have to deal with Israel, okay? And Israel is the great military power of the Middle East. So you want to humble them. You want to weaken them. You can't destroy Israel because Israel has nuclear weapons, right? You piss off Israel, those nukes start flying. You don't want that, right? So those are the three major political objectives for Iran. Control the Strait of Hormuz, destroy SANCOM, and humble Israel.
But how are you going to do that?
If you are Israel, actually for you, the strategy is different. What you want to do is this. You want to destroy CENTCOM.
Oh, okay.
And destroy Iran. Okay? Those are your objectives. Why? Because if you destroy both the United States and you destroy Iran, then you are the sole hegemon in the Middle East. Okay? Also destroy the GCC.
Okay. Destroy
Saudi Arabia as well. Why? Because once Saudi Arabia is destroyed, all its resources belong to you, okay? And this creates something called the Greater Israel Project, which is what we will discuss next class.
Nice.
But as you can see, that's really important, is that even though the United States and Israel are allies, their ultimate strategy is different. Their
I see.
objectives are different. In fact, they're in conflict, okay?
Yeah.
They have Saudi Arabia. What does Saudi Arabia want to do? Well, destroy Iran, because if you destroy Iran, you have complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. Then you can be a bully, okay? But you also want to destroy the US and you want to humble Israel.
Oh, snap.
All right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right? So by understanding how each player perceives the game, we can now understand how they will go about their strategy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So the United States just wants to destroy Iran. But as you can see, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran all want to destroy the United States. And how do you do that? You do that by forcing the United States into a long ground war. Right?
Right.
Therefore, if you're Israel, you don't want to use nukes. Why? Because nukes would end the war too quickly. You want to drag this war out as long as possible to force the United States to send in ground troops.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, why doesn't the United States use nuclear weapons? And the answer is already told you, the escalation ladder. It needs to justify itself to the people.